with companies like Pandora? Do you have your songs on there, or similar companies?
We have iTunes. We work with iTunes. We work with Bandcamp, which is pretty much the same thing as iTunes. It's just another name.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do have Pandora, Spotify. Trying to think of all the ones.
Well, the reason why I brought it up, like I said, I don't want to pick on a specific company, but it seems the royalties being paid out to the artist for listens in particular. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talk. There's political talk out there right now. There's bills being passed that, you know, for and against artist pay, or that will directly affect artist pay.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of these companies, if somebody goes out of their way, they go on one of these sites and they listen to your song, you make a big shiny penny or less.
Right.
You know. You know, what's your perception on that, and, you know, what do you think? I mean, excuse me. Of course, they as a company have to make money.
Right.
But do they have to make that much money? You know, I mean, what would be fair to the artist?
It would be fair. It would be fair and smart and genius. It would be idealistic for the radio to take back their radio instead of letting this digital internet and letting like the iTunes and iPod and sticking something in your radio versus listening to your radio, putting DJs back on the radio, putting people back in the radio station. And, you know, you're going to get rid of all that mess. You're not going to have to, you know, it's something you're not going to deal with. Of course, it's still going to be there. It's not going to go away because it's already there. But, you know, you're going to weed it out to the point where, like, it's just, it's not worth it. Those small pennies that they're making, it's just going to start dying out. It's not going to be worth anymore. Those people are not going to keep wasting money and keep putting time into it when you got, you know, where radio first started, because people were tuning in to listening to good music that they wanted to hear, not what people played to hear or paid to hear. Right. You know, that you're not going to have those rich kid bands that are going to walk in and start taking over things just because mom and dad has money. You know, it's not going to happen like that anymore.
Do you see that as a case of radio these days? Like the people that, like, basically it's the people that can afford the $10,000 deals.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
everybody else is, no matter what talent or how good their song is,
yes,
out of the loop.
Yes, we see it more times than not, and I wouldn't say specifically bands that we've seen or particularly played with, but we've definitely we know their stories. You know, everybody that hits radio, we know their stories. So when we hit radio, as we have, like, we've been contacted by bands and they want to know our story, what's going on, and we see that all the time. The biggest thing, and this the same reason that the venues are not packing out anymore. I think the main reason why you can't get national acts to sell out their shows is because you're not getting regional acts to sell out their shows. And then all just turns around.
Trickles down.
Yeah, it goes right back into the hands of the radio stations that pipelined all their stuff to two guys that are listening to the radio, and they're racking in cash to get played by classic rock all day when that shit's just boring and old now. I mean, it's not that it's boring. It's just that it's played out. It's time to move on. The same way that when Guns N' Roses and
so the top 40 needs to change every now and then.
Yeah, it's time to push the limit. Like when Guns N' Roses first started, you know, like it wasn't Guns N' Roses that was on classic rock. You know, that it's time for that change to happen. I think that's what we're going to see when the industry does push over, is that our classic rock is going to completely change. Is going to go away, and you're going to see more of the 90s, early 2000 rock go to classic, and then you're going to see a whole new form of active rock come in, and there's going to be like, I couldn't even sit here and tell you. We wouldn't have enough time for me to sit here and tell you all the immaculate bands that we play with that are active rock radio ready to go.
Right.
And like,
but they're just not getting that chance.
And they're not getting that radio play because it's not the norm. It's not something that they're taken a part of because they don't see the potential in it. When that's us. I mean, you're talking to my generation,
right.
the kids who are voting, the kids who are out there. You know, we're in abundance. We're the blue collars. You know, we're the working class. We're the people who's coming up. We're in college. We're coming out of college. You know, we're starting in the workforce, and it's not just digging ditches.
Right.
You know, we're digging ditches and filling office spaces too. You know, we're taking over America, and it's not in the sense of like we're going to change everything, because like we're confined to that idea of things has to be this way, where I mean it doesn't.
Right.
That's a musician's idea is to make, you know, change it.
Be the rebel.
Yeah, you got to be the but it doesn't have to be that way. You know, think for yourself. Go back to that. Think for yourself. Be for yourself, and that's just the way things have to be,
right,
in order to prosper as humans. You know, you gotta keep evolving.
On that note, what about being for others? Like, how can bands support each other without being in competition with each other? Because that seems to be
it's a constant competition, but it's friendly. Like, that's how we play everything.
Does it have to be a competition
though? I think in a sense that it regardless it's going to be, because at the end of the day you're trying to sell your CD versus that guy selling his CD, and if there's change in the pocket, and we've done this several times. We've done this 1,000 times. That if you'll buy our CD, then we're gonna give you a discount on this,
right?
And we'll figure it out, and we'll see that like, hey, they don't really want our CD, so we'll be like, hey, I tell you what, you buy their CD, we'll give you our CD. You buy theirs, we'll make sure you have a copy of ours. So like we're constantly after and trying to figure out new ways to
That's
appeal.
a great package deals for tours. That's awesome.
That's what we constantly do. We hooked up with so many bands that
I haven't seen that at all.
That's what that's what you got to do. It's a brotherhood out here, you know, because we live like gypsies, you know, we live like traveling strippers, you know, without that guy standing next to you, you're not gonna eat, you know. And it's not just in this bus; it's the bus next to us. You know, we got to fight.
It's ideas like that Musicon wants to bring out. You know, that brotherhood. But you know, if you're touring together for a reason, for that draw. Why not? You know, for Motley and Kiss, why not have a package deal for their merchandise so that they ultimately sell more?
We've had a lot of offers about doing like compilation CDs where, you know, several bands would get together and just throw their CD or throw their one single onto one CD, and then everybody sells that CD no matter where you're at.
That's
got
awesome.
You got 10 bands, and you know, I could rattle off 10 bands immediately that I'd love to be a part of their CD, and put all of our singles together on one CD, and it's just like, for me, it's just like being in the 5th grade when Napster broke loose, and you're just like, boom! I can have anything I want on one CD. You're kidding me, you know? And it's that same idea. And then you turn around and you paid $10 for 15 songs from 15 bands that, like, each one of those songs are blazing.
Right.
Like, it's gonna catch on fast. And
is that something that you're doing? That you're going forward?
That's something that we're actually working on. That we're trying to get together and trying to pull together, and we've talked with several bands.
And do you mind if any of the local scenes around the world steal that idea?
No, man, of course not. Of course not. It's all about that. Like, and there's bands that don't travel or tour on the regional market or national market that we work with. Those local bands that they just can't afford it, or they don't want to do that. That more than happy to pull that song on there too, because I mean. At some point, you have to move away and take away from the business side and be like, there's a reason why we're all here. There's a reason. There's a method. There's a melody behind everything that we're doing, and there's a reason why we started this thing. And it's because of that note that like dug its way into your soul, found a break, and then came right out, and then you were hooked the rest of the life, just like an addict. You know, you heard that music, and then you're in. You know, that's what. At some point, you got to find that again, and it's the music that's going to really bring it together and start driving it all again.
Right, and ideas like that can really get the fans back into the music.
Right. And
For sure.
that'd be a wonderful thing too. Is to turn away from pulling the singles off the shelf and start putting CDs back on there, and start putting albums together, and not only albums with 1 or 2 singles, you know, like it used to be, and like go back to the old days where you had like 7 songs on there that was just,
or the entire albums.
Yeah, yeah, just from front to back, and you're just like every bit of it. That's what I want to know.
Right.
You know.
Nice. You said something earlier about, and I don't know if you meant it in this way, but you said, you know, a lot of the larger bands aren't selling out venues.
Right.
And I think your wording was because a lot of the regional bands aren't selling out venues, which would also lead into because a lot of the local bands aren't selling out venues.
Right, exactly.
Do you really, I mean, are you looking at it as the whole picture? I mean, is it really, no matter what band or genre you're in, does it all start at the local level for a scene, like for a city? Like if a city, if national acts aren't selling out in a city, that city's not selling out any venue for on any level.
Right.
Right.
That's from my perspective and how I would see things. I feel like that's how it would happen. Is like the same way that you've got to build any foundation. Period. It's got to start at the ground.
Right.
You know, if the locals have absolutely no pull, there's no music in the area, no one understands.
What if there is? I mean, there's got to be talent out there, undiscovered talent. There's always talent.
Always.
But what if that city, you know, it's everybody kind of learns from each other, and sometimes people learn wrong.
Right.
Right. So why isn't there some place that musicians and bands can go to learn this stuff, so that they can do it right, so that they can help build a stronger scene and help build a stronger community and help build a stronger industry?
This is not an idea of a workshop.
Well, does it go back to the competition thing we mentioned earlier?
I think it
people
probably
keeping
has,
secrets.
It probably has something to do with like I can't tell you this because this was our moment of success. It probably at some point it goes to that, but from what I've seen, from what I learned and what I've pushed towards, it's always been like, oh, you didn't know about it? Come over here and let me show you this.
Right.
Try this. You've got to do this. That's the direction we've always taken, and that's what's happened with us. The things that we've learned was from either our mistakes or someone being like, hey, I see what you're doing, don't go that route, don't do that, try this. And it completely, we missed a bullet by a mile, by a friend telling us which way to go.
Because I've known a lot of people that had their heart in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, their advice is, well, you have to take your lumps. You have to learn like I did. You have to make those mistakes to learn, or you won't know.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, you know, if you're smart, you could listen to somebody and actually take some advice.
Right.
You wouldn't have to go.
And some of the smartest people that I've ever ran into was on the road. It wasn't in a classroom, and you know, it was the musicians that were on the road, and they've learned how to take, you know, homeless into traveling success.
Right.
You know, they've took a mom and pop's store to a Walmart perspective, and like we've watched that happen. There's geniuses, just like marketing gurus out there that have done this, and then they'll turn around and they want to share that information. You know, everything doesn't work the same for everybody, but you know, if you can take and learn and pull in your own direction, you know, you might find your own way, and then turn around and, you know, sell or share that information off as it comes.
Well, let's hope that happens more often as time goes on. I think it would be good for the industry as a whole, for sure.
Yeah, always would be.
Very cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude?
Yeah, pick up our EP, Home Today.
Sell it. Tell them who you are again.
We are Shallow Side, and you should go check out our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and iTunes for the Home Today EP.
Awesome. Hey man, we appreciate it.
Thank you.